Okay. Good afternoon. It's morning still, so good morning. I want to thank everybody who has came out to this lunch with a legend, and everybody that's tuned in on Facebook. I thank you for tuning in. My name is Dabrian Leach, and I currently serve as a Student Government Association president for this academic school year. And I have the pleasure to introduce our lunch with a legend guest today. Cedrick D. Wooten, also Attorney Wooten, is a lifelong resident of Memphis. He is married to Sylvia Wooten, who was also a graduate of LeMoyne-Owen College, class of 1991, and they are proud parents of two beautiful daughters, Ariel and Alexia. He is a member of Mount Moriah East Baptist Church, where he serves as a deacon. He is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and a Prince Hall Mason, Charles F. Williams Lodge, number 86. He is a 1987 graduate of Melrose High School. He earned a bachelor's of science degree in natural science from LeMoyne-Owen College in 1992 and a bachelor of science degree in biology in 1996, along with his teaching certification. Attorney Wooten earned a master's in educational leadership from the University of Mississippi in 1997. Attorney Wooten received his Juris Doctorate degree from the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law at the University of Memphis in 2005. Attorney Wooten has spent 10 years employed with the Memphis City Schools as a teacher and administrator before attending law school in 2002. He is licensed to practice law in Tennessee. Attorney Wooten serves as law clerk for the Honorable George H. Brown and the Honorable Jerry Stokes Circuit Court of Tennessee for the 13th District at Memphis Division 6. Attorney Wooten practiced in the private sector for 11 years in various areas of civil and criminal law before joining the Shelby County District Attorney's Office in 2017. In 2018, Attorney Wooten was appointed as Chief Administrative Officer of the Shelby County Criminal Court Clerk's Office, where he handles the day-to-day operations as it relates to maintaining and preserving the official court records, reporting of the depositions of cases to the state, collection of court fees, and processed expungement orders of eligible charges for the Criminal Court of Shelby County. Attorney Wooten currently serves as a CAO of the Shelby County Circuit Clerk's Office, where he handles the day-to-day operations, as it relates to preserving the official court records, appeals to higher court, and management of settlement funds. Attorney Wooten believes in giving back and mentors young people and remains active in his childhood neighborhood of Orange Mound because he believes that people, especially children, need to see the dreams and possibilities that they want to come true. It is my pleasure to introduce our Lunch with a Legend guest, Mr. Cedrick Wooten.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Leach, for that introduction. I appreciate the invitation as well. It is interesting that I drove up on the campus today. So much of the campus has changed, but so much of it is the same. I immediately started thinking about my first week, and I sat probably that second or third row from the top. I sat up there doing freshman orientation in this very room back in the fall of 1987. And as she was reading all of these things, I couldn't help but to think about the integral role that LeMoyne-Owen has played in me being who I am today. I didn't realize it. You come and like typical 18-year-olds, felt like I had it all figured out. It's just an extension of high school. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do my thing and everything will be okay. Well, quite quickly you realize you're in college. And in college, nobody is keeping up with you. This is your responsibility. But it wasn't an abandonment from my teachers or by professors who I encountered on campus. It was really a challenge. And whether it was Dr. Green, Dr. Stanley Abel, he was one who constantly challenged me because he said I was wasting time. And he was right. But once he realized and he saw that I was willing to put in work, what he kept doing, he was mining. He kept mining more and more because what he wanted me to do is to be the best person that I could be. And I understood that. We used to have, we used to say all the time, have a saying that students and the kids who went to PWIs, they were being trained to get a job. Here at LOC and HBCUs, they are preparing you for life. Yeah, we all went through the same struggles. I'm sure y'all are dealing with some of the same struggles with financial aid now that we dealt with 30 years ago. It's never on time. You know, you're trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet, things of that nature. But what you do is you realize that you're surrounded by a village. And what it's teaching you is perseverance. It's teaching you that although things don't go well, keep your eyes on the goal. Keep moving. No matter what you do, keep moving. So I remember when I was preparing to graduate, my goal was I was going to graduate. I was going to take a year off. I was going to take the PCAT. I was going to go to pharmacy school. But I took a class from Dr. Green and one of the humanities classes, and he explained our responsibility. So our responsibility is to give back. Someone helped you, someone has nurtured you. Now it's your opportunity and your time to give back. And so in the meantime of me saying, I'm going to take a little time off and start studying, I'm going to sign up to be a substitute teacher. I go and I sign up to be a substitute teacher at my old junior high school. And they hired me. And here it is, I'm giving back, but what I realized there was a connection there. So what I do, they offer me a contract. They said, but you have to get certified. So I come back to LOC. So I have 2 degrees from LOC because when I came back to get certified, I had enough credits where I earned another degree. But those are the things, you know, the roots, the pouring into you to really, really help you to discover who you are and then to help develop you as a person. I was walking right outside where the fraternity benches used to be. And I was telling my friend, I was like, every day after class, you know, everybody knew to meet at the benches. And thinking back about some of the conversations we were having. And we were trying to figure it out, just like everybody else is at that age, trying to figure it out. But what we didn't realize is how much LOC was really pouring into us to become who you are. They told us, okay, you got your degree here. When it was time for me to go to grad school, I said, you got your degree here. You validate this degree by going to a PWI, because you can then prove to them that not only are you prepared and you're equipped to get into the program, but you can thrive once you're in the program. And that's exactly what happened. When I arrived on the campus at Ole Miss the first week, or the first day, got in the class late. The professor says we have an exam. It was summer school. We have an exam every day. And new guys, me and a friend of mine, one of my best friends, said, new guys, you are going to be responsible for today's material on the quiz tomorrow. The next day, we showed up, we take the quiz, and I do well. I have the highest score. And it was another classmate of mine from LOC, and she walks by me and she says, let's show them that magician pride. And from that on, I knew not only could I make it, but I could excel in this program. And so those are the things, and you don't realize it when you're younger, the connections that you make, the people here on this campus, the continuous wisdom that is being poured into you. It is continuous, but you don't realize how important that is. You don't realize how you're going to have to be able to draw on that later on. So don't miss out. Don't miss it. You know, don't take it for granted. You know, everybody's frustrated and you say, I want to get out of here. I want to go on. I want to move to the next chapter of my life. But the reality of it is everything happens in its own time. What you should be able to do is to enjoy the experience. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, I'm at a point in my life now where it is about experiences. Every point in your life up to this point has been about a destination. Whether you were a child, they say, hey, he or she's they're crawling now. Now they're walking. Now they're going to preschool. Then they're going to big boy school, a big girl school. Then they're going to junior high school, middle school. Then you're going to high school. Then you're going to college. And now in college, you're like, I got to get out of college now because what I need to do is get a job. I need to get a job. I'm moving to the next destination. But what we fail to do, and what you don't realize sometimes until you're beyond that point, is the journey that you're on right now, the experiences and the things that you're earning now and the things that you've been exposed to, and how those things are going to help you be a better version of yourself later on. This campus has been good to me, as she stated. I mean, I met my wife here, so of course, without meeting her, then I would not have my two beautiful daughters. Like everything else, it has its highs and its lows, but having the foundation that that LOC gave me has allowed me to accomplish all of those things that she read and she talked about. And so it has, just like anything else, when you reflect on it, you say, wow, I didn't know it then, because sometimes you can't appreciate it. But now reflecting on it, walking around this campus, driving up on this campus, I know that just about everything that I am today is rooted in my experiences here, as well as my experiences from high school at Melrose. So that's a little bit about me. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
What made you go into law? Seeing that you got a degree in biology, why didn't you study criminal justice while you were here? Why she stole my question? Oh,
It's a good question. Well, as I stated, my plan was to go. Well, let me say this. All right. So if you look at my high school yearbook, my goal is to be an anesthesiologist. And if you look at my college yearbook, my career aspirations is to become a pharmacist. And so what you realize is life happens. You know, my screensaver used to say, if you really want to make God laugh, tell him your plans for your life. And so once I had gotten the teaching bug, bitten by the teaching bug, I said, well, if I'm going to do this, then I need to become certified. So I had a biology degree, so I taught science and math. And then I became an administrator. And so, but I ended up in law school because after being an administrator, I needed a different challenge. I needed to challenge myself. And one of the things I knew about the law was it was flexible, it was fluid. I could work for myself, I could work for the government, I could work for a government. I mean, I could do so many different things. I've done all of those things. And so whenever, if I was bored, wasn't challenged, I tell my cousin sometimes, I think I have ADHD, because once I get bored, I've got to find something else to do. But that's how I ended up going to law school, because I just wanted to have options. I didn't want to be pigeonholed or cornered into any profession. I wanted to have control of my life and my profession and what I did. Yes.
What kept you focused and motivated towards your goal?
What's that again?
What kept you focused and motivated towards your goal?
Which goal? Any goal? Well, poverty. One of the things I didn't want to be was poor. I knew there was a certain lifestyle that I wanted to live. And I came up in a generation, I've been working since I was 15 years old. But it was summer job, 16 years old, you got a job, you worked. And so if you wanted it, you had to go to work. And so being able to be independent, being able to experience life, live the type of life I wanted, that was always my motivation. And then after children, you realize at that point in time, it's never about you. So you want to always put yourself in a position to give your children the best life and the best opportunity that you can. Yes. What was my motivation while in college? Well, I came to LOC on a scholarship. I understood, and I believed that the way that you changed your life was through education because of the people, my teachers in high school, professors here, people at my church. I saw where the education was the difference in most of them. You could see a separation between people who were educated versus people who weren't. And not that they didn't need people who didn't have a college degree, didn't have a good life, but they had limited options. And what I wanted to do is to give myself as many options as I could so that I could really experience life the way that I dreamed and I wanted to. So my motivation was that I wanted the type of financial independence. I wanted the kind of control over my life that I felt like a college degree was going to give me because it was going to be. Yes.
LeMoyne, or did he graduate?
No, we actually met. We were friends. And then we started dating. And I think it was her senior year because she graduated before me. So we started dating, but we all hung out together. And then, and one thing led to another. You know how things happen, and we dated. So we dated her senior year. Then she went on to work in corporate America, and I was still here in school. Yes, sir.
So what's next for Mr. Cedrick Wooten?
Interesting. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. So currently, I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the Circuit Court here in Shelby County. I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations for the Circuit Court Clerk's Office, but I'm also a judicial candidate. I just pulled a petition last week to sit on the bench. I'm running for judge in Circuit Court Division 6. Thank you. So if I can depend on your support and your friends and your family support, and you all get out and vote for me, then the next step is me sitting on the bench and being a judge here in Shelby County. Anyone else?
No, okay, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I had so many questions today. Did you join your fraternity while in undergrad?
Oh yes.
Okay, so how did you stay afloat with trying to keeping up with school? Because I know a lot of students, that's what they look for, but I don't think they understand that it's like school, like it's hard work to do kind of both.
So, and that's a great question. Great question. Of course, yes, I am a member of Big Money Beta Mu, Fall '88. Had the interest meeting as well as the interviews over in GOH, and it is an adjustment. You go from being an individual and now you're part of an organization, and you begin to suffer from FOMO, and you don't want to miss out on anything. So what you end up doing is you either have to be very disciplined, and very few people are that disciplined. And so what you end up doing is you have this slippage. But if the organization and you're surrounded by brothers who understand what the goal is, and the goal is to graduate, then what you do is you hold each other accountable. And so you have accountability partners. And your brothers in your chapter is accountability. Because of course, if the chapter doesn't have a certain GPA, you can't participate on campus anyway. So everybody needs to stay focused on what the goal is. So yeah, I had a semester, one of those semesters where you had to get it out, but then again, it's bounce back. Let's bounce back. Let's get back, get focused, because you didn't come here to just to join a fraternity and just to go to school. You came here to graduate. So by having accountability partners and having brothers who hold you accountable. And I'm thankful for that. I'm glad, because our deal was, and we looked for guys who graduated. Our deal was going to graduate. You're on the track to graduation. Those were the guys we wanted. Those are the guys we sought out and wanted to bring into the fraternity. But everybody goes through it. So when you go through it, you don't think that it's the end of the world. It is just time for you to hit the reset. You're an adult, and that's the crazy thing about it. I have a my youngest daughter, she's a senior at Memphis now, and she pledged AKA last year, and I told her it's a surreal thing because as an undergraduate, it is a special time. This is the one time in your life that you get to be an adult and a child at the same time. You don't have all of the responsibilities of an adult, but you have the freedoms that come with it. But understanding that and understanding that responsibility, you also have to deal with the consequences of your choices. So you have to be able to manage time. You know, an old man once told me, he said, you have 24 hours in a day. He said, you got 8 hours to eat, 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, 8 hours to play. He said, they don't always add up and they don't always divide out equally. But there's enough time for you to do everything if you're disciplined enough and structured enough. It's time management. And so and some people can get it on the front end and some people have to go through it before they realize it. But you understand, this is a time in your life for discovery. You're trying to figure out what it is that you want out of life, what it is you want to do. My daughters and I talk and say, it's an odd thing for people to ask 18-year-olds what you want to do. Somebody's told me what to do all my life. What do you mean what I want to do? So this is that time when you figure it out. And there are going to be some bumps and some bruises along the way, but by the same token, you understand that you're in the right place, that you can correct it, and then you can get yourself on the track that you want to be.
While here, other than joining the fraternity, were you involved in anything else on campus?
Yeah, SGA. At my senior year, I was Mr. Senior, and my chapter's brother's his girlfriend at the time, she was Miss LOC. So we were actively involved, and when you're in a fraternity, a lot of the activities you're involved in revolve around that. At the time, we used to have a reading program where we would actually go down to Cummins Elementary and we would read. And it would be a different group of brothers every day that would go down the street and to read, to engage. This was our sanctuary. We were where we were supposed to be at this age. So we relished it. We relished the relationships, the people that we met. And these are lifelong relationships. So don't take it for granted. Don't just think that, hey, it's going to always be this way, because it's not. Because as the older you get, then, my oldest daughter graduated and she's working. And we always talk about adulting. It's like, yeah, you're really adulting now. When it's just going to work, then you think you want to get there until you get there. And then you realize it's the same thing every day. So embrace the relationships, the experiences, and everything. We would give out food baskets. We would do things around the campus to engage not only the staff, show our appreciation for people on the staff, but also for the student body too.
What would you say has been your biggest accomplishment out of everything you've done so far?
It's interesting. I thought about this yesterday. I was having a conversation with somebody. And I think that at this point in my life, the things that I've done, those things are great. Those things are great. They have given me an opportunity to live a really good life. I live a really, really blessed life. I often talked about my grandparents wouldn't believe, 2 generations removed from abject poverty. But here I am, and I'm sitting in this place. But my children, one's graduated, one is about to graduate. As a parent, children don't come with books. You got to figure it out, And so to see them be on the track and the trajectory that they're on now, and being able to do the things that they've been able to do, and be able to say, I had a role in it, we didn't screw it up, and to see them because what they do is not as important to me as who they are. And that they're really, really, they're the type of people, they're the people that we wanted and I had hoped and prayed that they would be. So my children and being and seeing them doing the things that they're doing, that's my greatest accomplishment. Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone influence or inspire you to be who you are today?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, if I go back to people at my church, uh, people in my family, my high school teachers, my high school principal, Mr. LaVon Bridges. There are so many people, my godfather, my old Boy Scout leader. There were so many people, Dr. Abel here, Dr. Green here. There were so many people who, you're having fun, but they're reminding. And so because of the time that I was here, and I got here in 1987. So you think it's a long way from the civil rights movement, but it isn't. And so a lot of those people were fresh out of the civil rights movement. And so you understood and continuously being told, being fed about the sacrifices that other people made for you. You were inspired by those things because there was nobody keeping me from going to school. There was nobody barring us from coming on the campus. But they wanted us to don't blow it, don't squander it. So I stand on the shoulders of so many people, and I never forget it. I never forget it. There's a gentleman who worked in the office I used to work in the criminal court clerk's office. He was one of the first Black men hired as a court clerk in the late 60s here in Shelby County. And I never missed an opportunity to have to talk to him just because I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand some of the things that he had gone through, And I talked to my elder who are members of the bar, older attorneys, and talked to them. And it's an interesting thing. If you go back and you look in the 60s and the 70s, a lot of the attorneys, the H.T. Lockhart, Benjamin L. Hooks, it used to be B.L. Hooks, and all of these, they only used their first initials. And they used their first initials because although they were members of the bar, the judges would disrespect them and call them by their first names. So they resorted to this system where all of them will use their initials in their last name. So if he doesn't know your first name, he has to call you Mr. and call you by your surname. Those are the kind of things that I've never forgotten. I've never forgotten those things. And I keep those things in mind going forward on a daily basis because I understand that I may be inspiring and I may serve as a mentor and inspiration to somebody else. Yes, ma'am.
For your
Sir, I'm sorry.
your personal experiment, what would you tell other freshmen to keep them motivated to keep going and not
The first thing, and that's a great question. The first thing is to just slow it down in your head. You follow me? One of the things, the biggest difference between college and high school was nobody told me what to do. Nobody. So I don't have to go to that class if I don't want to go to that class. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Now here, my professors would be on you. They will see you. You don't show up. I didn't see you last week, and you're not going to be able to get what you want if you're not willing to put in the work. Those kind of things there. So slowing it down and understanding that it's not going anywhere. Understanding what the mission is. Everybody, what they say, know the assignment. Well, the assignment is to graduate. So knowing that, say, well, I've got to figure out. I've got all of this freedom, got all of this power now. So how do I use this and I manage it? Because that's what you're really doing. You're managing the power. And so understanding, okay, this is my plan. I'm trying to figure it out, but I've got to get myself into a routine. And understanding that everybody went through it just like you're going through it. So you don't have all of the answers, then you seek out other people. Because we had mentors. We had upperclassmen. We had the Upward Bound program. We had, the freshman program, and then you had the sophomores. So we had people that we could lean on. And get you a good peer group. Get you a peer group that you're gonna hold each other accountable. Accountability partners is really crucial, and I'm thankful that every stage of my life I've had that present. Someone that even when you didn't want to keep going, say, hey man, that's what we're here for. Let's keep going.
Okay, I have another question. I'm sorry.
No.
So, you know how people, when they want to join these fraternities and sororities, they say, do your research, find what's best for you. Did you have somebody on campus that you looked up to and say, yeah, you know, I want to follow in their footsteps, or they showed me the way, or did you just do your research and find out that was the one for you?
Well, for me, I was lucky and blessed enough where my cousin was a Kappa. I came from high school. All of the men were Kappas. My principal was a Kappa. There was no question about it. If I wasn't going to pledge Kappa, I wasn't going to pledge. And I knew that. So there was nothing, I didn't need to research it. I needed to make certain that I was prepared and ready to go when the opportunity presented itself. But I do suggest that find out what fits, what works for you. Everybody is different. And that's the thing about it. Nobody else is like you. You know, and so I know people who have come here, and that brings up a good point. People who've started school, back to your point, and they realize that they really weren't focused, disciplined, or mature enough. And so they left, but then they came back, because if you're here, generally you're here for a reason. You belong. You may not be ready to accept the responsibility, but when you leave, you realize how limited your options and opportunities are going to be. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up back here anyway, because you need to be. This is where you need to be, and you should have been in the beginning. Yes.
What advice would you give someone about some of their bad high school habits to college?
And the shortest answer I can give you is grow up. You follow me? And I say that to say that in high school, that's what it was. You know, you living at home with your folks, you know, they're doing everything for you. This here, and the unique thing is, as I was talking to someone in HR, and they were telling me, you know, we never ask people about their GPA. We never ask them those things. You know, we don't care. If you had the maturity, the discipline, and the focus to start and finish something that you weren't required to, then that means that you were trainable. And so what you have to do, if you have bad habits from high school, you have to ask yourself, okay, I'm in a different setting now. Am I going to be able to really flourish and do the things I need to do to be successful here with those bad habits? Because generally, if you had bad habits there, then you got by. You didn't excel because you had bad habits. Well, bad habits here gonna get you expelled, excluded. You're not going to be able to get by, because ultimately you're the one who's responsible for the work. So you're gonna have to do some introspection, some soul searching, and then you're gonna have to determine what your priorities are and ask yourself if you're willing to do the work. Yes, sir.
What would you tell someone? I want to say like, what would you tell someone that like to separate their mental health from the school, so they could get their work done, but also don't worry about like what they got going on.
What was that last part? Don't worry about what?
Like don't worry about like what they got going on, and focus more on their work so they can like graduate.
I don't think that's an either or situation. You know, and let me applaud you all. One of the things I applaud about this generation is that you all understand that sometimes the load gets heavy and that you need help. And there are resources that are in place now to allow you to get that help. I think that, you know, having a relationship with a therapist or having a relationship with somebody you can talk to helps balance you out so that you can focus on the things that you need to focus on. I don't think you can ignore if you need to talk to someone or you need some help. You need to explore, you need to seek out that help, because other than that, you're just delaying it. Something is going to happen that is going to cause you to hit a wall, but you're thinking that I can put it off. I think those things go hand in hand. You got to find out what works for you, seek out those resources, and then encompass or incorporate those things into your life so that you can do the things that you need to do and be able to flourish in those things.
I have a question.
Yes.
What would you tell someone who's accomplished what they need to accomplish and get ready to start out into adulthood? You talked about, I heard you talk about, and these little parts that I came in on. You was talking about growing up and adulting. So what would you tell someone who's a senior, get ready to start out into the world? I know it's not easy, and like you said, we realize the load is tough. So what I guess deeper encouragement could you say or
Well, I think you look at it the same way that you look at your first day or first year here on campus. All of it is new. One of the things I tell people, new people in my office is, look, you got to have a first time before you have a 50th. You don't have to have all the answers. You've got to be able to, take one step at a time. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got professionally, I use it every day, and I got it from the building engineer at the school I worked at. And his advice to me was, Wooten, start out the way you want to finish up. So whatever it is you do, I have a plan. I have a plan for everything. Now that plan may change because life changes and you tweak it, but I have a plan and I try to execute from that plan. So I start out I'm very punctual. My friends will tell you, I believe in getting on time, getting places on time, because time is not something you can ever get back. So having a plan and the things that you're not good at, you got to be able to have a plan to work around those things too. So if you're not good at getting to places on time, then it's important for you to say, I got to build in extra time for me to get to the place I need to be on time. If you're not organized, you got to find ways to get yourself organized. But the most important thing is you knowing that you don't have to have all the answers, you having a plan, executing the plan, allowing some room for yourself to learn. There's a learning curve in anything, and not getting discouraged. I don't care how tough it gets. Do not quit. Keep moving. I don't care what it is you're in, it's tough. I went to law school. There were 184 people in my law school class. There were 9 Black people. Only 3 of those 9 were men. So, but everything that I had learned, whether it was in high school at Melrose or here or at Ole Miss, had prepared me for that next challenge. So everything you're doing is preparing you for the next step. So don't be discouraged. Don't doubt yourself. And whatever it is, I don't care how slow it appears to be moving, don't give up. Keep moving.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody who came out to listen to this Lunch with a Legend session. I also thank everybody who has tuned in on Facebook and YouTube. Just a couple quick announcements before we end. We do have a baseball game today at 1 o'clock at Christian Brothers University. So if you could make it out, I know the baseball team would appreciate the support. Also in the lunchroom right now, it is NPHC week, so they're having lunch with the Greeks. So you can go up there and have lunch and talk with the Greeks and just conversate with them because they're people like us. And again, I'm Dave Brown Leach, and I'm your student government president. If you all have any questions, always talk to me. We always want to help you guys and make sure you get what you need. So I'm always here. If you need any help with anything, I would like to say thank you for coming out to this Lunch with a Legend session. It's good to see that we have alumni who are doing so good. I think when people think of LeMoyne, all they think of is South Memphis, and they don't understand the importance of LeMoyne and the products that they produce for the world. So thank you for coming out. We also have a gift that we would like to present to you from the Student Government Association.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you all for coming out.
Okay. I was going to say, no. Alex on this side. Pass that. Light. Over high.